Peace comes from preparation, not hope. Welcome to another Wellness Wednesday Live. I am your host, Chastity Grady. If you're new to me and my company, Grady Tax Plus, it is our number one goal to make sure that we are keeping the IRS out of your pockets so that you can live a better life. I am the go to expert for social workers and therapists who are in business, as my background is as a licensed clinical social worker. Again, making me the go to expert for mental health professionals. However, other people hear my voice as well. And so, if you're someone who's also connected to me, then welcome, 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 welcome. Okay, y'all. So, for today's Wellness Wednesday, I'm giving you the opportunity to go ahead and share this live out. Share this live out with some people who needs to hear about this particular topic we're talking about. We're talking about peace comes from preparation, not hope. Okay, peace comes from preparation, not hope. And on our Wellness Wednesdays live, the goal is for you to literally be well. The goal is for you to literally be well, whatever that looks like, whether that's being well emotionally, if that's being well financially, is that if that's being well in your relationships. The goal is for you to be well. So if you want to be well on today, this is the first Wednesday of the month. If you want to be well on today, then go ahead and put in the comments, be well. Be well. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, again, peace comes from preparation, not hope. Now, hope is powerful. Don't get me wrong. When we're hoping and wishing and praying, that is powerful, right? That inspires us to what's possible, right? But hope by itself, it doesn't always create peace. Okay, it doesn't always create peace. And I don't know what peace may look like for you, but if you follow me long enough, then peace looks like me being able to fluff up my pillows at night. Peace means not having anxiety, peace meaning having a settled spirit, like nothing feels unsettled within my spirit. That's what peace looks like, right? Peace doesn't come from, crossing your fingers and wishing things will work out. It comes from preparation. It comes from preparation, and we're going to talk about that on today. Hopefully, with the goal in mind that you will walk away knowing that if you can start preparing for things versus hoping, then you will have a little bit more peace in your life. And that peace, it will pass through all areas. It will start to rub off on other areas. Have you noticed that if you feel anxious in one area of your life, that it starts to leak, it starts to pass to other areas? For example, if you don't feel peace within your finances, then that starts to leak into your relationships. That starts to leak into other areas. And you're like, wait a minute, what does that have to do with each other, right? But that's what happens when you're not prepared. When you don't prepare for things, the peace is lacking. Okay, so I know yesterday, what was yesterday? Tax Therapy Tuesday. On Monday, our motivational live, we talked about don't lose your confidence, right? Don't lose your confidence. And part of being confident is being prepared, right? When you're about to do something, you're preparing beforehand and not just going in on a whim. Although sometimes we do have success when we're doing things at the last minute or on a whim, but we don't have peace in that, right? It comes with that, anxiety is attached to that and just all the things, right? We want to listen, we want to be able to work without feeling all of those types of feelings, right? That all of that stuff leads to high blood pressure. It leads to medical issues, right? Listen, we don't need medical issues in this season of our life. We don't need medical issues. We don't need anxiety showing its form in chest pain. We don't need that in our lives, right? We don't need that. So peace, we want that peace that surpasses all understanding. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. We got to get into it. So when we think about not being prepared is typically connected to stress, which I already alluded to that. When you're not prepared, you feel anxious. Okay, you'll avoid things, whether avoiding looking in your bank account, avoiding having certain conversations, just avoidance altogether, right? Your your body knows when things aren't secure, Okay, your body knows that. Even if you don't talk about it, even if you keep things in, you hold it in, you're not telling anything about anybody about it, but your body knows that. Your body knows that. And this shows up in areas like I mentioned, having anxiety, having that chest pain, overeating, okay, or eating things that you shouldn't be eating. Your body, they say your body keeps the score. Your body knows when things aren't secure. It knows that, right? And so when we look at preparation, right? When we look at preparation, it requires looking at what's actually happening, right? We don't want to avoid things. We don't want to ignore things. We want to face things head on. But the problem with facing things head on is that we don't like to face the truth sometimes. That's why it's easier to just avoid and wait until the last minute. But wait until the last minute gets us nowhere. You know, when you wait till the last minute, you start missing out on opportunities, right? Deadlines, you start missing the deadlines by waiting to the last minute. So yeah, we listen. Preparation, and we know this. Preparation doesn't always look good. Preparation doesn't always feel good, but the reward that's on the other end is worth it. The reward on the other end is worth it, right? Preparation, it requires responsibility, being responsible. How many times are we avoiding or delaying the things that we are responsible for doing? I had to have a hard moment with myself, a hard truth with myself. It's like you have to take responsibility. Being a part of being prepared is taking the responsibility that, hey, maybe I'm not being a good steward over this area of my life. Maybe I'm not being a good friend. Maybe I'm not being a good wife or a good mom, whatever it is. You have to take responsibility. And when you start taking responsibility, you can start preparing to be who you're supposed to be. You start preparing to operate in those roles that you're supposed to operate in. Okay? But what I will tell you is that the longer that you avoid your preparation, the longer that you avoid taking responsibility, avoidance, oftentimes, most of the time, avoidance becomes very expensive. Avoidance becomes very expensive. Think about it. When we look at purchasing things, you go to the store and they're like, "Hey, this is on sale until XYZ." But then you avoid it, you're delaying, you're procrastinating, sorry, you're procrastinating. And then that the day after comes and it's like, "Oh my gosh, I missed the deadline." And now you have to pay full price. Now it's that's an example of how avoiding becomes expensive, right? And that goes for all types of services or whoever. When someone says, "Hey, I'm running a special, you have until this date to save money on XYZ," but then you wait and you delay and you miss the deadline, avoiding procrastination, that becomes very expensive. Okay? So think about this. The longer that you go without taking responsibility, the longer that you avoid, the longer that you go unprepared, that will cost you later. It will cost you later financially. And then again, that's going to cost your peace, right? That's going to cost you your peace, right? And we talked about how this topic of peace, right? The topic of peace comes from being prepared, not just hoping. Not just hoping that things will be better, not just hoping that be prepared. Okay, so we talked about preparation requires you to be responsible, right? You're not avoiding things, you're not waiting to the last minute, you're not procrastinating, right? And what I want to tell you is that preparation doesn't necessarily mean that you have everything figured out. Sometimes we think that, oh, preparation means that I got all my ducks in a row, that I figured out all the ifs, ands, or buts, that I figured out all the things, right? And preparation is not that. Preparation is not that you have figured it all out. Preparation does mean that you have a plan in place in case something doesn't go the way it's supposed to. You have a plan in place to remedy that, right? Preparation looks like when we talk about numbers, if we talk about finances, preparation looks like knowing where your money is going. Preparation looks like planning for your taxes instead of fearing them, creating systems instead of relying on your memory. That's a big preparation tactic right there, or strategy. Creating systems instead of relying on your memory. Oh my gosh, how many times are you keeping in your mind, oh, I got to email this person. Oh, I got to send a text message. Oh, I got to do all of these things, right? How many times are things just sitting in your mind, sitting in your head of the things that you have to do because you don't have any systems that helps you to not rely on your memory? And then all of a sudden, oh, I forgot to do that. I forgot to send the text. I forgot to send the email. I forgot to do that. I forgot all you get into the habit of forgetting things because you don't have systems in place. When you create systems, that allows you to be prepared. What does systems look like? Having a task management board, having a task management board that shows you all the things that you need to do, that you're putting things on the board of what you need to do by XXY date or XYZ date. One of the things that I try to train my clients on is don't send me text messages, don't send me Facebook messages. The reason why I have that set up, and it's not that I'm being rude, not that I don't want you to text me, not that I don't want you to send me a Facebook message, but I have a system in place to where if you send me a message, my assistant, she's going to catch it and she's going to put it on the task management board for me so I know I need to respond to things, right? If I just allow just people to just text me all day, and send me messages on Facebook or whatever, then I would have to rely on my memory. I would have to rely on my memory to do things, and that will set me up for failure, right? That's why we have to be prepared. You have to create a system that allows you to be prepared to handle things. So when I divert you, okay, when I divert you to say, hey, moving forward, send me a message in the portal, or even if you send me an email, because the email is connected to the portal, and my assistant can see it. Because it's not that I'm being, like I said, it's not that I'm being rude. I'm being prepared. I'm being prepared to respond. So I'm not relying on memory. I'm not relying on a text message. I'm not relying on those things. We have systems. And so when listen, this is a teaching moment for everybody, for anybody who needs this. You have to create systems in place so you don't rely on memory, right? Sometimes we create systems with paying our bills. Sometimes we have them on auto pay because we don't want to rely on our memory to pay our bills or know when they're due. Even if I have something on auto pay, I have a system in place to where on my calendar I have reminders of all the bills that are due. So whenever they auto debit coming out, I'm checking it to say, yep, that was done, that was done, that was done. That's the system that I've created because yes, I don't want to just rely on auto pay to pay for things. I still have to have a system to know that something was actually paid. And the more you go about your life with having systems, it doesn't just apply to business. This is in your personal life too. Having a system in place where you have checks and balances, that's the word I'm looking for. The system allows you to have checks and balances so that you are prepared, so that you have the peace that you need in your life, right? So that you have the peace that you need in your life. the longer you the longer you're operating in high anxiety moments, or you're operating with a constant anxiety or anxious feeling within your body, like I told you earlier, that is going to start to leak. That is going to have you going to the doctor trying to figure out what's wrong with you, thinking something is wrong with you. It's going to leak in other areas the longer you stay unprepared, the longer you don't put systems in place. And if you don't get anything else from this live on today, having systems, whatever that looks like, like I said, it's not just business. This is personal too. This is personal. We want peace in all areas of our life. Remember, this is Wellness Wednesday. I want you to be well. Whatever being well looks like, whether that's well personally, professionally, business wise, family wise, whatever that looks like, be well. Be well. Okay? And once you have preparation in place, once you have systems in place, once you have processes in place, your shoulders are able to drop. You're not typing up here. You can actually relax and type. Your sleep improves. Your ability to make decisions becomes clearer. all just by being prepared, all just by putting things in place and not avoiding things, not procrastinating. All of this would allow you to have that peace. Okay. And I got to apply it to the business owners. As a business owner, what does preparation looks like? How does that peace translate over into my business from a financial standpoint? That looks like making sure your bookkeeping is always together, it's always cleaned up, that you're always keeping track of what's coming in and what's going out. And not just setting up the system, but working the system or having somebody work the system for you, meaning someone doing the bookkeeping for you, like I do for some of my clients who need somebody to work the system for them, right? Being prepared looks like checking in with your numbers, right? I don't know if you want to do a daily or weekly, but whatever it is, be consistent so that you know, oh, I had a target goal, and maybe you need to set the goal. I had a target goal of needing to make XYZ by the end of the week, by the end of the day. Did I reach my goal? Looking at those numbers, checking in with it, and then planning ahead for taxes, planning ahead for these things so that you're not reactive. You're not reactive when it comes to filing taxes. We're in a tax filing season right now. You shouldn't be reactive right now. This is not a time for you to have your anxiety increase. This is actually a time for you to actually get to be on the other side of peace, or being on the other side of your fear, being on the other side of anxiety, and being in the land of peace now, because now you can put a close to your 2025 tax year. I talked to y'all about how the tax return, that's not the beginning. It's actually the end. The tax return is the end. Okay, it's the end. So it's actually a closing of the prior year. It's not the beginning, meaning, oh, now I need to start to think about what did I do in 2025. Now I need to start thinking about all the expenses, all the things that I did in 2025. The tax return is the end. We're looking at the end. We're looking at now that 2025 has happened. Now that I have made income. Now that I have spent some money. Let's see how it panned out. Let's see how it turned out on the tax return. This is the end. This is not the beginning. And oftentimes, many of you, this is the beginning of you looking at your finances. Remember, I just the whole live was talking about being prepared so that we can have peace. Tax season should be a peaceful season for you, because now you can officially put 2025 behind you and really focus on 2026. The tax season should be a season of peace for you, because now you can put 2025 to a close and start focusing on your 2026. Many of you are still looking at other years. Many of you still got other years underneath your belt that you need to close. And I encourage you and I urge you to go ahead and bring those years to a close so you can focus on your present day. So you can focus on your present year. Okay? So you can focus on your present year. All right? So when it comes to having peace, we want to be prepared. Us being prepared allows us to have that peace. Us being prepared allows us to not have that anxiety. Us having that peace that surpasses all understanding allows us to show up in our businesses. It allows us to do the work in our businesses. It allows us to keep going in our businesses. Preparation. Prepare. Okay? Prepare. It's okay. It's okay to deal with things up front, up close and personal. I know sometimes it's hard. I know sometimes you want to avoid because you don't want to look at that. You don't want to think about that. But the longer you avoid, remember I said earlier, the more expensive it can become later. When you avoid your taxes, it becomes more expensive later because you got penalties, you got interest. It becomes expensive later. So I want to encourage you to not to avoid, to not procrastinate, to sit with it and get comfortable with sitting with that. Allow peace. Allow sitting with the discomfort be your peace. Allow being able to sit in whatever it is that makes you feel uncomfortable. Allow that to be your new normal of sitting with it so that you can address it, so that you can face it head on. so that you can be well, so that you can actually live well, so that you can actually have the wellness that you need in your life. Okay? So I hope this word touched you. I hope that something I said here allows you to go in peace and to be well, to understand that if I just prepare for the thing, that it would actually get me a step closer to just being well in my life, to decreasing some of the anxiety, to decrease some of the depression, to decrease some of the pressure. It will allow me to be well in my life. So if you're someone, my call to action to you, if you're someone who wants to be prepared, you want me to prepare your tax return for you, you want to make sure that this 2025 year or years prior is behind you, officially behind you. You don't have to worry about it. You can listen, you can sleep good at night knowing that you have officially closed out 2025, and so that you can focus on 2026. In the comments you will see a link to my informational sessions. On Wednesday, every other Wednesday, I do a free informational session so you can learn about working with my company, whether that's tax, whether that's bookkeeping, so that you can see what it's like to work with my company. Ask me questions. I'll answer your tax questions if you have them. I'll show you the back end. I'll show you my expectations for you as my client, and I'll um, tell you what my responsibilities are to you as the overseer of your finances, as the overseer of your taxes. Okay, that is in the comments. We're actually having one today at 6:30 p.m. Central. If you are able to make that, I would love to have you. If not, we are doing this every other week. So the next one will be on February the 18th, and then 2 weeks after that up until April 1st. But if you're someone, you're like, Chastity, I don't even need to come to that because I already know that I want you to be the overseer. I already know that I want you to be the one who is assisting me in my business, who's assisting me in my journey of entrepreneurship. And I just need to move forward. I just need you to give me the link so I can move forward, so you can add me to your portal, so I can start filling out my forms, uploading my documents. Then the link is in the comments. If you look at the link I put in the comments, it says visit our, let me edit that, visit our website for tax services, and you will see the different packages that I have. I have everything in packages because what one person has, the other person doesn't need. So when it comes to business owners, if you are not an S corp, if you're not a partnership, you will fall under the gold package. That's one business. If you have two businesses, that's not an S corp or a partnership. That's the platinum one. Okay. And if you don't have a business, you will see the basic and the silver options for you. And obviously, if you have an S corp, you would choose the S corp package. And if you are a partnership, you do have to have a call with me, one-on-one call with me, in order for me to decide if I do want to accept you as a client for partnerships, as I do not accept anyone just to be my client when it comes to partnership, whether you feel like you're a good fit or not. I gotta put the stamp of approval on that one, so that's why I have it set up that way. But the others, if you know that my voice is your shepherd, if you know that my voice is resonating with you, then go ahead and sign up. Go ahead and sign up. We would love to have you as our client. We would love to welcome you to the Grady Tax Plus community, so that we can serve you in 2026, so that we can hopefully help you be well, so we can help you start to have that wellness in your life that we just talked about on today's live. Okay, we would love to have you. Both of those links are in the comments. And so as I come to a close, I got to give y'all my benediction. Y'all know this. If you've been listening to my lives on a daily basis, then you know I have to end with my benediction, which is, many of you know, or who may not know, that I am a follower of Jesus. Okay, and the reason why I'm commissioned to let you know that is because I you have to, even though if you may, let me just say this because God had told me to say this on today actually. You do not have to be a follower of Jesus to work with me. You do not have to be one. But God has commissioned me to let you know that I am. And the reason being is because you, even though you may not be a follower of Jesus, and that's not a prerequisite to work with me, but I need you to know where my help comes from. I need you to know who's giving me the insight, okay? Who's giving me the insight? Who has oversight over my life? Because that's how I operate in my life. Okay, I operate by seeking God first on what He wants me to do and how He wants me to do things. And so I need you to know that that's where my help comes from. That this is not of myself. This is not of myself, right? So so thank you, Holy Spirit, for yesterday for letting me know, because someone might have been confused in thinking that you have to be, and you don't have to be. You just have to know that I am. Okay, you just have to know that I am. And so in John chapter 10, the Jews, they were questioning Jesus, and they were like, "Listen, how long are you going to keep our soul in suspense? Okay, if you are the Christ, just tell us." And Jesus said, "I told you, but you do not believe me. The works that I do, they testify concerning who I am, but you do not believe me because you are not my sheep. My sheep, they hear my voice and they follow me, and I know them, and they shall by no means perish. I shall give them eternal life, and nobody shall snatch them from my hand. The Father who gave them to me, nobody shall snatch them out the Father's hand. I and the Father are one." Okay, why is this part of my benediction? Because in 2026, in any day, in any week, month of your life, you are listening to several types of voices. You hear different things, the YouTube videos, the TikToks, the grams, the books, the Facebooks, all the things. You're listening to so many voices, and then you see so many things, right? But out of all of those voices that you hear, that you're only going to listen to a certain voice that resonates with you, right? That's why when you see certain videos, you can click off right away, because what they're saying, it doesn't resonate with you. You don't hear their voice, right? And the same thing applies in businesshood, right? In entrepreneurship. All of this is spiritual. All of this is connected. So yes, I'm using biblical principles to apply to entrepreneurship, because I just told you who is the oversight over my life. That's where I get my insight from. And that actually gives me confidence in knowing that if somebody doesn't want to work with me, that's fine. That means you don't hear my voice. That means you are not my sheep. But if you are someone who hears my voice and you understand what I'm saying, and you've been watching, you've been like, "Yes, I gotta go with her, I gotta connect with her, I gotta learn more," then follow me. Okay, then follow me. By following me, you can sign up for a service that you so desperately need. Attend an informational session to learn more about working with me, and I can get to know you, because because this is social media, it's only one-sided. I'm only talking. I want to hear you talk. That's why I have these informational sessions, for you to be able to come in and let me know who you are, right? Not that that's a requirement, because once I'm working with you, I'll know who you are. I'm gonna get to know you. But if you want me to know beforehand, this is what this is for, okay? And ultimately, um, another thing that John chapter 10 talks about is that there's also other people, because I get this question a lot: do I just work with social workers and therapists? No, I work with coaches, I work with consultants, I work with travel agents, I work with other people. And the Bible tells us that there are also other people who has to hear our voice, that I must help, right? There's going to be other people who are not a part of the fold, who are not a part of the congregation, who are not a part of the ideal or a target audience, that must also hear, right? And I'm saying this to me, but I hope you're applying this to yourself, so that you can take this word with you as you're operating your business, that there's people who need to hear you. In order for people to sign up with you, they got to hear your voice. You can't hide behind typing status post. You can't hide behind a blog post and just typing. You can't hide behind an email just typing. People who are assigned to you, they have to hear your voice. They have to hear your voice. You have to show up, whether that's on a video, whether that's going live, right? And this is for all industries. Okay, social workers and therapists, you're not exempt from going live and talking to the people who you need to serve, right? People have to hear your voice, because a certain sound that they're going to hear that's going to attract them, that's going to allow them to follow you. And that's why I'm going live Monday through Friday, because I got to get the people who need to hear my voice. You have to hear my voice. I can't just make a post all day. I can't just post pictures all day. You have to hear my voice, because if my voice resonates with you, then follow me. But at the end of the day, if you hear him, if you hear the Lord Jesus, then follow him. Get connected. Okay. I'll be in prayer regarding what does that look like if you are somebody who do want to know more about God himself. Um, I'm just doing what I'm commissioned. I'm just step by step, God's telling me, do this, go this far, go this far. And I'm sure he's going to have me go a step further and actually give you the opportunity to get connected and know him for yourself, whatever that looks like. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm just doing what I'm told. I just know I got to give you the benediction. I just know that when I go live, everybody must know. Everybody must know where my help comes from, because I'm not doing this by myself. And I'm not about to pretend that I'm operating my business by myself, because I'm not ashamed of the gospel. Because I'm not ashamed of the gospel, and I will not be silent. Okay? All right. We talked about on Monday, do not lose your confidence. This is stuff I'm talking about. When you don't lose your confidence, right? Your reward is on the other side. When you start being confident and you know who you are, you can show up and be who you are no matter what the circumstances may look like. People may think, Chastity, I'm just here for the taxes. I'm not trying to hear all of the other stuff. That's fine. But I know who I am in the kingdom. I have to do what I've been commissioned to do. I can't let what other people thoughts, oh, you mixing spirituality and business. This is all connected for me. And I'm not gonna separate. I'm not going to pretend that I am separating. Okay? That's why I say you got to hear my voice, because if my voice don't resonate with you, if it don't resonate with you, then I don't know what to tell you. Give me 1 second. I don't know what to tell you if it don't resonate with you. Can you close the door, Junior, please? No, just close the door. I'm almost done. Can you just close the door? Yeah, I'm over time because Junior done he done came in here. But let me just finish what my thought. That's why I said on Monday, go back and watch that motivational Monday live. Do not lose your confidence. When you know who you are, you can show up and be just that without having chains on you, without being worried about what somebody's going to say. I don't care about all of that. In 2025, I cared what people thought about me. I cared about all the things. In 2026, I don't care. You're either here or you go hear somebody else's voice, and I'm okay with that, because I know I got people assigned to me, and I got to get to the people who are assigned to my voice. Okay? I hope something I say today, it blesses you. I hope you be well on today, on this Wellness Wednesday. I will be back on Thursday for our Talk to Me Thursday live. And on Friday, we'll do our Fire Your Boss, okay? Fire Your Boss Friday live. So if you're somebody who wants to fire your boss, you need the tips, you need the tools, you need the resources in order to do so that you can chunk up the deuces for good to your boss, then you're going to want to be here on Friday. It might be like an informal live, but I'll be here. I'll be here. So I hope, like I said, I hope something I said here blesses you, and I will see you in the next one.